Welcome to Kraftwerker. So let's start with this little machine. So I'm going to do a few things to it. I had a quick look at it, but actually now is actually the real start of actually trying to see what we can do here, because it looks to me like this guitar is in a really good condition. So what I want to do is take the strings off, do a couple of checks on it, a couple of checkpoints on it, and go from there. So the tools we'll have to use, I'm going to use one of these guys. We will need something to cut strings with. We will need some screwdriver sets and possibly some filing stuff. So the things I'm going to check are very simple. I'm going to see if this is a mess. That's wow. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a mission. So anyway, I'm gonna not film me trying to wangle this shit off. Then I'm gonna check the following, because I think this guitar has never been looked at, and usually cheap guitars are not actually that bad. There's just quality control and setup issues before they go to the shops. Always have a wee brush with you. You can get into all these little yucky bits where all the skin sits, and you can get rid of it. I'm going to do some electrical checks as well to see what kind of resistance our little pickups get, and maybe get a vacuum in there. So yes, we will also need a set of Allen keys, both for the height here as well as the truss, and a little bit of very fine sandpaper in case we need to smooth this out and smooth the nut slots out. So yeah, let me see what we can do here. I don't know what the hell happened here, but I might actually do it this way. Shit, that's a joke. Okay. They've been tied and all sorts. Yeah. Okay. Ow. Fucker. Alright, I'm gonna have to get in here. You don't have to watch this. Let me just switch these things off. Okay, so that was a bit of a mission. And the reason it was a mission was because they were strangely tied. Okay, so basically what that means is that it was like wounded tied, and it was a bit of a palaver to get out. But now we are where we are. So what we can do now is check a few things. There were some concerns. Obviously, the main request was a setup and the string change. But I think what we'll do is we'll go through the whole thing. I know that this person will not be able to look after his guitar himself, so what I'm thinking after all these years is that we go in and really kind of clean it up and get it nice back to a nice spec, which, depending on how often he plays, will mean that he will have something to deal with. So the first thing I'm going to do before I clean or anything like that is just do a couple of checks. Number one, tighten these guys. That's not going to take long. They feel good. Doesn't seem to be any issue there. I'm not going to oil them or anything because I don't think that's necessary. But I want to tighten these just to see where they are. So good. There's a bit of play in them, but that's just the tuning keys for you. The other thing I want to do is see if these wee ones are loose. They're not. They're good. See, they just need to be slightly tightened. You don't need to like get in there, right? Over tighten them. So the next thing I want to do is get the neck level with the Allen key. So a little trick, if you've got a set of Allen keys, the one that you tend to use, just turn it around. And the best thing is to use, I usually use my eyes, but for demonstration purposes, we're going to use this guy. And see. Now, what you do here is very simple. Trying to illustrate it. You put this down, and then you shine a light from behind it. And if you can see light shining through where the flat edge meets the fingerboard, you know that there's a gap. So there's no gaps, no gaps, no gaps, no gaps, no gaps. Right at the front there's a gap. And then we can try and confirm that with our eyes. So yes, it does. It has slight back bow. Now, the way I do it is I put them straight and then put the strings on and get the strings tightened. The reason I do that is because the strings will pull it a little bit up, and usually that's enough. Now, when you adjust the truss rod, you do it very little at a time. Like I said, usually I use my eyes for this. So now I can already see the light. I don't know if you can see that. I have a video about doing this. So now there's a bit of light in there, so we need to turn it back a bit. So that means we've slightly created the bow again this way, and I actually want this to be level. So we need to turn it back. Now when I was adjusting this the first time, I heard it squeak. And that is because it's probably never been adjusted, or because it's a cheap neck. So I'm turning it back more than I actually turned it up, which is odd. See, there's like this, and that could actually be why there might be a reissue. These are really fine adjustments now. They usually talk about 1/4 inches at a time. I'm probably about 1/8 of a quarter turn, probably about 1/8 of a turn at the moment. Maybe one more. See if we can get this guy straight. A little bit of light, no light. Okay, so that means we have a completely straight, slight bow in the neck, but completely straight. Now we can quickly take a rocker. Do the old rocky thing. I'm really hoping no fret leveling needs to be done here, and the reason is I hate doing it, and secondly, these are those really thin so far. I found a few points, but they're really minor. Okay, so that means unless you're really strumming, I wouldn't worry about it. Although the back has got a few. Okay, there's a few minute little pieces, and usually rule of thumb is don't adjust unless you really need to. But I'm going to polish them. I'm going to get them to some degree. I'm also going to now take the time to really clean this neck up and get everything organized. So let's do the cleaning first.